Okay, what we have now is really basic management accounting. If you had cost accounting or management accounting before, I would advise you not to take it because it will not add much value. Okay, if it's your first time having management accounting, then it's worth investing your time and effort on this course. If you already had management accounting or cost accounting in your bachelor's, you can just move to the management control systems because there you learn new things. Okay, I don't know if anyone wants to ask something on this. If you want to ask a question, just use the chat or just turn on your mic, okay? If there's no more questions, let's see the next slide, which is the textbook. So this is the textbook that we will have for the course. You have on the slides the link to the library of the book, but it's not online. They don't have the ebook online, so they only have the paper copy as far as I could see. But in any case, you can do the course. Okay, you have a good grade on the course without the book. Okay, so I will put available on Moodle, quizzes, problems, the slides with the course content, and this should be enough for you to have a good grade on the course. Okay, so when I look at last year, students had quite good grades. Okay, so there we will talk about that now here. What are the working methods and assessment? So you will have an ongoing assessment, which will be worth 20% of your final grade. There will be a group project, which will be worth 30%, and then the final exam is 50%. So we will have 2 lectures per week on Friday, like now. On the lecture, we will be doing some exercises, and I will also make available on Moodle some extra readings and discussions. Okay, so for your assessment, if you do what is asked, it's easy to have a good grade because this is not very difficult topics. Okay, if you make an effort to attend the classes, to study, you can have a good grade. Sorry. But it really requires you to start working from the beginning, because if you just start studying for the course, for the final exam at the mid of March, then it will be very difficult for you to keep up. Okay, so but if you start following the lectures from the beginning, then you should be able to have a good grade. Okay, you just need to do what is required, do a little bit extra for you to practice. And make sure you have no questions, that you follow everything. If you have any questions, just type here on the chat, participate in class, and you will be able to do well on this course. But don't wait until the last week of March, okay? If you have to start from the beginning. Now, having talked about assessment, so we will have class participation and activities, so that will be part of your ongoing assessment, which is 20%. So this 20% will include class participation, activities that we do in class, participation on Moodle forum, and homework and quizzes. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to type there on the chat, what is your favorite type of assessment? Okay, if you prefer to have homework, if you prefer to have class participation more, if you prefer to have quizzes online on Moodle, or if you prefer to have quizzes here live on the class. So just type there in the chat what would be your preferred type of assessment.
Professor, sorry.
Yes.
I don't have the option to write on the chat.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the chat is turned off for me as well.
Sorry, this is a technical problem. I don't know how to solve that. I don't know how to solve that. Why can't you write on the chat? Okay, so if you cannot write on the chat, maybe you can just speak up. Okay, so one at a time. If you can speak up and just say out loud what would be your preferred type of assessment.
I would prefer quizzes on Moodle.
Yeah, I prefer a quiz on Moodle too.
Quizzes on Moodle? Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a Thursday, the 11th of March. What is the group project? The group project will be a case study. So like a few pages of a case study about costing systems, where you have to try to solve and bring a solution for the problem of the organization that you have on the case. So some of you mentioned that you already worked, so you might know how the problems working in real life. Some of you had not had a work experience yet, so this will bring you a little bit of flavor of what will be the challenge once you start working, okay? So this is a case study based on a real case, okay? So it's not just made up, it has a real case behind it, it really happened. So this will be an opportunity for you to practice the course content on a real life situation, just in the environment of a case study. So for this group project, you will have groups of 4 to 5 students. I will make available on Moodle a form, online form, for you to fill in your student number, your student name, and your email address, okay, with the groups. So it will be like an Excel, Google form with an Excel file. You just type in your data. So if you know people who you want to work with, you just put in the same group together. If you don't know anyone, you just put your name in any of the groups with blank spaces. Okay, I don't know if anyone wants to ask a question about the group project. No questions about group project. So I will be making available this information on Moodle. And then you can fill in your group preferences. So the deadline is for next week, okay? So make sure that before next week you have filled in your group preferences there. Now we will start with topic 1. Let me just record from now on. Okay. So we will start with topic 1, which is Introduction to Management and Cost Accounting. So we have 3 topics here. We have Introduction to Management Accounting, we have Functions of Management Accounting, and an Introduction to Cost Terms and Concepts. And we will try to cover these today. So for all of these topics, you can check on the book chapters 1 and 2. So we will now go for Introduction to Management Accounting, which is we find on chapter 1. And before we go there, I mean, a lot of you mentioned you found on the syllabus very interesting. Some of you already had some courses about accounting. Others didn't have much of accounting. So I just wanted to show you the movie trailer of The Accountant. And then I want you to participate in the classroom and tell me whether you think this fits your expectations. It's nothing to do, it's very different. So let's just watch the movie trailer. Let me see if it works. Okay, if you don't hear, just let me know, okay?
Your son is a remarkable young man. He has highly advanced cognitive skills. he has more in common with Einstein or Mozart than he does with us. I'd like to work with your son. Help him develop the skills he'll need to lead a full life. It's not going to happen. The world is not a friendly place, and that's where he needs to learn to live.
You get into financial consulting. How did you get into financial consulting? My dad was an accountant. You know, he had the whole shtick, the dorky pocket protector.
I have a pocket protector.
That's a nice one.
Do you like puzzles? Tell me what you see. Was taken 3 years ago by an undercover agent.
It's the same person.
He was spotted in Tehran, Tel Aviv, and Naples. This guy risks his life uncooking the books for some of the scariest people on the planet. Drug cartels, arms brokers, money launderers, assassins. Who survives this kind of clientele? Imagine the secrets this guy has. What are you doing here?
Who are you?
You're different. Sooner or later, different scares people. I have difficulty socializing with other people, even though I want to.
There's people looking for you.
If their secrets get too big, killing you may be the cost of doing business. If you go down this road, you can't go back.
Some of my clients are quite dangerous.
Why would your clients follow you? You're an accountant. We have to go to the police.
Police can't protect you.
So who is he?
The accountant.
Like a CPA accountant?
Not quite.
There we had an introduction to the movie, so just let me know there if you can turn on your mic and say what you expect from management accounting is anything to do with what we saw on this movie. Anyone wants to go first? Any volunteers to comment on how you expect your future profession to look like the accountant here on the movie, portrayed by Ben Affleck?
Well, not really. I don't want to risk my life for my job.
Yeah, okay, so what do you think will accounting do, like what they, on the movie, what they showed and what you expect to learn here, what we, on this course? How do you think it will be related?
I expect to learn the basics to maybe integrate the accounting department of a company and to see which projects you will take and to do the cost budgeting. Basically, that's what I want to learn from this class.
Okay, Jean, have you watched the movie before?
No.
No?
I will.
It's a nice movie. Thank you, Jean. Anyone else wants to participate now? So if you heard what they mentioned on the movie, so Ben Affleck, he was a CPA, like an accountant. Okay, so that is, and they mentioned about cooking the books. So that is very much related with financial accounting. A CPA, the CPA is the certification for a financial accountant. So he was a financial accountant. Okay, and he was being hired by big organizations or big people in order to cook the books. Cook the books is, how can we explain, is a way to go around the rules, not directly go against the rules, but go around the rules, not to show the full reality of the organization. And he was very good on his job due to his special capabilities, okay? But management accounting is slightly different. Not that we don't have special capabilities, we will have been developing special capabilities that you already have, you just develop that more throughout the course. In not to show the financial statements. Like when we talk about cook the books, we are talking about the financial statements, the balance sheet, the income statement that the companies have to report to the external parties. So the most basic that we often hear about is that people try to go around and in order to pay less taxes, to avoid tax paying to the government. So they cook the books in that way. That is not legal, okay? So no one should be learning how to do that, but that is for external reporting. When we talk about management accounting, we have a different focus, okay? So what is accounting? According to the American Accounting Association, is the process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information to permit informed judgments and decisions by the users of the information. Okay, so this is, let's read again carefully to make sure that we fully incorporate this definition. So it's a process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information for what? To permit informed judgments and decisions by the users of that information. So we are concerned about providing both financial and non-financial information that will help decision makers to make good decisions. So here is very important to have into account what or who are the users of information and the decision-making process. How does it work? Okay, so that we can provide this proper and good information for these users in order to have good decisions. So management accounting is different from financial accounting. Okay, so we understood that, but who cares about management accounting? And why is that important? So a lot of you, when you saw the syllabus, you identified, okay, management accounting is important. I think it will be important for my career. So many of you mentioned that on your presentation. But who should care about management accounting? So everyone who wants to provide good decisions and anyone who does not want to make bad decisions, okay? So basically everyone should care, because I believe no one wants to make bad decisions. People only make bad decisions when they, in two options, either they don't have the full and correct information, so they are not aware of the consequences of those decisions, so they might think that the decisions they are taking based on the current information that they have is the best, because they don't have the proper information. Or second option, if they have the good information, but they might be led by the heart and not use the brains to make those good decisions, even though they have the good information. So outside of these two options, people should want to make good decisions, and they should be taking good decisions based on good information. So why it is important? It's important because if we make bad decisions, bad business decisions, the business can go bankrupt. We can be fired from that job. We can have a lot of problems. We can miss opportunities. Okay, if we don't know what is the correct price, what should be the correct price of a product, because we don't know the cost of that product, we might miss the opportunity to sell that product more, to make a promotion and increase the sales of the product. We might think that certain product is unprofitable and we should stop producing that product, and in the end it was a very profitable product. So it's very important for organizations to have information that is provided by management accounting. So what is management accounting then? Management accounting is concerned about providing information to managers, okay, which is different from what we talk about financial accounting, which is more towards external reporting. Managers, they are inside the organization. Okay, so management accounting wants to provide information for decision making inside of the organization. Okay, so it helps informing decisions affecting the future of the organization and also in controlling the implementation of the decisions that they make. So basically, management accounting is concerned about providing information for decision making. And that is why it's very important for everyone with a degree, a bachelor and a finance degree to have this course, because we will learn the basics on how to get the good information for good decisions. Okay? As I mentioned, accounting is divided in two branches. We have financial accounting, which is more focused on external reporting. So the information that they produce, the financial statements like the balance sheet, the cash flow, income statement, these financial statements are produced with objective of attending the needs of external users like the investors, shareholders, creditors like the bank, tax authorities, and sometimes customers, not so much, but sometimes customers also want to know this information. And then we have managerial accounting. Managerial accounting is focused on the internal users, on the managers of the organization. So basically managers and also employees, they are interested in knowing information that is provided by management accounting. Nowadays, we also have some information that is provided by management accounting that can be used to show external parties. So for instance, nowadays we have a lot of organizations that are concerned about reporting their sustainability measures and their diversity measures. This is information that is produced within management accounting, but they also aim to show off this information to external parties, to investors, to customers. They want to show they are diverse and a sustainable organization. Okay? If you have any questions, just stop me, okay, and ask any questions that you might have. So the users of accounting information, so we have the managers. So managers, what they want to use information because they need to make decisions and they make important decisions for the health and the life of the organization. So for instance, in terms of the selling prices, about the demand, about the competitive position of the organization, about profitability of the product services. So these are decisions that managers have to take in order to improve, to work around these items, and for that they need information from management accounting. Also, employees may require some information in terms, for instance, they need to know, if we think about a manufacturing organization, they need to know how much will be the demand so that they know how much units they need to produce, for instance. For shareholders, they might also want to have some information, but it's mostly in terms of financial accounting, in terms of income, and then creditors, they also want to make sure. So these the last three users, they are more towards financial accounting. They want to know the financial health of the organization. So here we have a table that is distinguishing between financial accounting and management accounting. So we know financial accounting is for external reporting and is mandatory for organizations, while management accounting is for internal reporting and is not mandatory, is optional. And that's probably why you had financial accounting as a mandatory course on your previous studies and management accounting was not obligatory. Then on financial accounting, they have to follow the generally accepted accounting rules, okay? So while in management accounting, we don't follow the GAP, the generally accepted accounting rules. We learn about what are the needs of the organization and we try to produce information that is reliable. Okay, but we don't follow accounting rules or accounting principles. Then in terms of detail of information, if you think about the financial statements, it's like a one-page, right? It's one-page summary with all the transactions of the organization. So it's a snapshot of what happened during the period. So that is very little detail. While in management accounting, if you want to have good decisions, we need to have a more complete set of data, of information available. So it is more detailed, sometimes focused on specific areas we want to be taking decisions on. So in terms of time dimension, this is a big difference between financial and management accounting. I don't know if your financial accounting professor anytime mentioned this, but my financial accounting professor used to say, financial accounting is wordless. It's like the rear mirror. When you're driving, you have the mirror, you look at the back, only to look at the back, because it focuses on the past. And when we're talking about management accounting, we are having a future orientation. We want to understand what the future can look like. We want to make decisions that make the future to look better. Okay, so it's very future oriented. I do not agree that financial accounting is useless, because even if you're driving, you need to have the rear mirror to see if there's any car behind you, or if you want to park your car, you need to look at the mirrors to make sure that you don't have any accident. So even if it is just looking backwards, it's important. But more important than understanding what happened in the past is to try to make the future to look better, to have a prosperous future for the organization. And then in terms of reporting frequency, in financial accounting, it is very much looking at specific time periods. So organizations, depending on the size of the organizations, they have to report annually, or every semester, or every quarter, or every month. The rules mention how frequent they need to report. While in management accounting, because it's optional and is used for decision making, we will provide this reporting frequency as often as we need. Some information we only need once or twice per year. Other types of information we might need every day. Okay, so it will be much more short time periods, often, and more detailed and specific compared to what we have in financial accounting. Any questions? No? Okay, so when you think about accounting, very often people have that idea that we have the transactions, we have the data that we collected during the period, we have these accounting rules, we mix everything together like a mechanic. So it's very black and white, and we have this very clear distinction between what is assets, what is liabilities, and we make this a balance sheet, and it very similar goes to the income statement, very black and white definition of the items. So this is true only for financial accounting, even though there are some items that might not be as black and white. But when you look at real businesses, and those of you who had a practical experience with some internships, you understand this can all be very complex very quickly, because we have what the company does. We have a lot of activity going on. We have contacts with clients. We have sometimes before the transaction occurs, that there's a lot of clients, there's a lot of potential, there is a lot of effort put in. Also in terms of product development. So there's a lot of things going on, and there is not this clear definition or distinguish between black and white. There's a whole shade of gray between what's going on the organization. And this requires critical thinking for managers to understand what is relevant, what kind of information is important for the decision making. Okay, so they, among everything that happens in the organization, all the information that we have available, we have to analyze only what is relevant, what is useful. And based on this useful information, we can make good decisions that will lead to a prosperous business. Okay, so it's much more complex and interconnected and bottom-up than what we think about when we think about financial accounting. So financial accounting is very top-down, very black and white. We have the rules, but that is not what happens when we really look at organizations and think about how decisions are made. Okay. If you have any questions, again, just interrupt me. So what we have seen nowadays in organizations and on the business environment is that organizations nowadays, they're very different from it was about 10 years ago. So even more with this pandemic situation. So before, when you think about our parents' time and our grandparents' time, business was within a limited area, within a country. And then we had, in the late 80s, we had European Union, just talking about European Union, but the same goes around the world. Before we had these protected markets, and now we have highly competitive global markets. So a company here in Carcavelos is not competing only with the companies in Lisbon area, but is competing with companies from the United States, from Canada, from Vietnam, from China, and they can all compete for the same projects, for the same products, for the same services. So you have these less protected markets and a very competitive environment. Okay, so companies, they need to have much more accurate information. Because if you think about how it was years ago, when competition was very small, it was not needed for organizations to be very accurate in the price setting, and because they were the only ones producing that product, and so they could price a reasonable price without having much trouble because they would have a certain amount of clients. But nowadays, anyone can go to the internet and search the price for a product, and they can order that product online at a cheaper price. So how can an organization make sure that it's competitive in the market? It's not very smart to just decrease the price, because if they just decrease the price to be at the same level as other organizations, they might be incurring into a loss. So they need to understand what is the actual cost that they are incurring to provide that product or that service. And they can then manage the price that they can have. Then when they do this analysis, they will maybe find out some products they are selling at a loss, so they should increase the price. Other products they are selling at a profit, so they can have a margin to decrease the price. Okay, but this becomes more and more important when compared to years ago when competition was very small. So nowadays, companies need to have a very accurate costing system in order to remain competitive in these global markets. And then another issue that we have is deregulation. So before, when you think about, for instance, here in Portugal, and I believe it's the same in many countries, before, when you think about electricity, there was a monopoly of an electrical provider which was state-owned. And nowadays we have a market for electricity with various suppliers. Okay, so we have this deregulation that increases again competition in the market, and organizations need to make sure they remain competitive and provide good services. Another item is that we have declining product life cycles. This means that when we purchase a product or when we produce a product, the life cycle of that product is shorter. For instance, think about mobile phones. years ago on your parents, a mobile phone could last a few years. Nowadays we have the main mobile phone producers like Samsung and Apple producing new mobile phones, new models with new features, very frequently, and everyone wants to have this new mobile phone. So we have this declining of product life cycles. We have to be able to produce, to innovate in very short time, also being very competitive with the new product development. And we know that we are developing that new product only with a short life cycle, because in a new year, we have to have another product with new features ready to the market, okay? Because this is both an increased demand from the market and also companies trying to remain competitive in the market. And then we have new business models and technologies. So when we think about that, we have all these new organizations, social organizations, hybrid organizations. We have a lot of organizations, they don't have an actual shop, it's only online. So these all new models, they require, again, more information that should be provided by management accounting to make sure that they can remain profitable in the future. We have things like cryptocurrency, data analytics. We have companies that more and more are concerned about environmental sustainability, diversity, and also political order. We see nowadays a lot of social movements, and especially the colleagues there in France, they know what's going on. A lot of, the first was the yellow vests, and now the Black Lives Matter, and now they think about the pandemic. So a lot of things that in some way they impact businesses, okay? And we need to make sure that in management accounting, we are able to provide information that will help organizations to thrive through these challenges, okay? So organizations, they are developing more and more management accounting systems that are more reliable, more developed, so that they might have cost calculation that is accurate. They can make sure they are profitable with the products that they provide, that they sell with the customers, and also in the markets that they operate. Okay, so all these changes, the new changes in the environment, they lead and they create a need for a better management accounting system. Okay, so that is why it's important to have this course and the basics of this topic. So why should you care about this course? So I know that a lot of you already understood this is an important course. So just to sum up, we have that many management accounting techniques will be helping you to become a successful manager if you want to work in an organization, or entrepreneur if you want to have your own business in whatever career path that you choose. Okay, no matter what, if you want to work in a finance department, or if you want to work in a marketing or sales department, the topics that we will learn, they will be relevant for in any case. So as a manager, you will need to plan as well as motivate and control the performance of your team. And you will be responsible for the costs, for the efficiency of your division, and to make good business decisions. So this course will empower you with these capabilities, okay? So next we have another video. So let me try again to share this video with you. So this video is from CIMA. CIMA is a certification organization that provides certified management accounting. Okay, it's based on the UK. So on this video, they are talking about, so the title is Educating the Next Generation of Finance and Business Leaders. So I want you to pay attention to the characteristics that they identify. So these will be business professionals, identifying characteristics for the next generation of finance and business leaders. So I believe you want to be a business leader in finance or in other area of businesses. And what will be the characteristics that you need to develop in order to be successful? So let's pay attention to these characteristics, okay? Starting.
I can't hear, Professor.
Sorry.
Yes, neither do I.
Yeah, me neither.
You can hear. Okay, sorry for that. Let me try again. From the beginning. Sorry about that. Let's see if it works. Is it good?
Yes.
Yes. Think of the supply-demand mismatch. There's undoubtedly a growing gap between the skills that are in demand and those that are being developed within the education system.
Universities are still traditional, they're churning out graduates who are not employable in a way.
We saw youth unemployment rising before the global financial crisis. So I think the seeds of what we're now seeing in terms of the range and level of youth unemployment was part of a systemic shift in the nature of the skills required by organization, and to some degree the nature of the skills that young people are coming in to work with.
One of the questions then to ask ourselves is, what are going to be the most valuable skills in the future? What is it that you want your members to learn?
We talk to SMEs, we talk to big organizations, public sector, private sector, but also with educational institutions, with young people, and with other stakeholders in government. What they want is an engaged and a connected finance person, connected with the rest of the organization, connected with the context of the organization, connected with things that are happening globally.
What Gen Y want more than anything else in the world is they want transportable skills.
It aligns very closely to the future work. People want to be flexible. People want to have more regular feedback.
That's the difference between doing accounting and understanding the data behind the numbers and being able to stand up there and justify these numbers to the CEO and the board. It will help the Gen Ys because they like that. They like to be empowered. They like to be able to make decisions.
I would just congratulate CIMA on what they've done to align the curriculum and the syllabus to what employers need.
Who do we want to produce? Competent, confident, business-ready accountants who would deliver expertise you can trust.
Okay, so they mentioned there a few characteristics, a few capabilities, a few skills of management accounting. Anyone got the skills that they shared? Anyone can share the skills that they understood from the video?
I would say adaptable skills and to be someone confident and someone we can trust on.
Exactly, very good. Thank you very much, Jean. So they mentioned that they want to have engaged and connected. Okay, so that idea that the accountant is the person sitting at the desk behind the computer, like with thick glasses, not talking with anyone, is totally wrong. The management accounting should be engaged and connected with the rest of the organization. Because if the management accountant wants to provide good information that is relevant for decision making, they need to know what's going on the organization, right? So for them to know what's going on, what is relevant, what are the news, they need to keep in touch with people. They need to be engaged with other people, with other departments. So if the marketing department, they have a great idea for an advertisement, it's not just, they need to understand, okay, they need to have a relationship with the people from the marketing department. Maybe they have a great idea, but that is not feasible for the production line. So they need to make this bridge, they need to be engaged and connected to all areas of the organization, not just the finance area, but with the production area, with the sales, the marketing, all areas of the organization should be involved and should be part of the network of the management accountant. Also, it needs, as Jean was saying, it needs to be a competent, confident, and business ready. Okay, so it needs to be a person that knows what he's doing. Okay, so he can trust the information that is being provided. So that is why it's important to have this kind of courses that teaches you the basic of management accounting. Because if you're going to make a budget from scratch, you never had management accounting in your life, and you have to do a budget, you might feel a little bit lost. So that you will feel much more confident and will be more competent in what you will be doing if you learn these skills from the course. Another point that was mentioned was to have these transportable skills, this flexibility. And it is more and more important in the nowadays that we are living with this pandemic. So we could be very good in person, but now we also need to be very good online, right? Because it's a different environment, but we have to be flexible, to have these transportable skills from what we were doing in person to what we are doing online. So, and this goes the same way to the role of the management accountant, not just they have to work at home with a home office because of the pandemic. No, they still need to have these transportable skills in order to have this connection with all the departments within the organization. It's not just a matter to be able to communicate with the sales manager or the marketing manager. They have to also be good at communicating with the CEO and justify to the CEO why this information is reliable and why this is the best business decision that should be made. Okay, so these transportable skills and the flexibility that needs to be developed by future leaders that you need to have this into account. So we want to be able to be good in a lot of things. Now, one thing that is important is that this is a basic management accounting course. So we will learn the ABCs of management accounting. We will learn the very basic things. Obviously, when you go to work in a big organization that has already everything developed, what you will learn here itself, for instance, if we think about costing systems or about budgeting, so we will learn here about how to do a budget. But when we go to work in a large organization, in a multinational, they already do budgeting. They don't need me or you to develop budgeting from scratch. They just want you to do the new budget every year or every month. So what we want and what is very important is that the skills that we will develop during the course will not be very stick and narrow focused on just doing this. Okay, so what I wanted to have this broader view. Okay, I will learn these basic things about management accounting, but the skills, how things work, the mechanics behind is what you need to save for the future, because you most probably will not make a budget from scratch unless you will be working on a startup organization. Or you will not be doing, developing a costing system from scratch, because if you work in a large organization, they already have a costing system implemented. So what we want to know is, for you to learn, is that you learn what are the mechanics, how things work, so that when you start working in an organization and they ask you to do the budget, you will have a critical thinking. And you will look at how they do things, and you will see, is this the best way of doing things? Could we do this differently? Could we do it better, faster? Okay, so this is what we talk about when you talk about transportable skills, because we will learn the basics here, but when you end up working in an organization, you need to take these basic skills to develop more. Okay, and the next point, which is very important as well, is to understand the data behind the numbers, that you are able to tell the story. Because in management accounting, we are producing information for managers, ultimately to the CEO. And when you go to talk to the CEO, we go there with a piece of paper, these are the numbers, this is the report, what I got, and the CEO will look like, so you need to first be competent and confident so that they can trust you. And then he will ask you to explain why this is the best decision. So you cannot just say, oh, because, in this item it says it is 100, the other item it says is 102, so 102 is better than 100. So this is not the type of explanation you want to provide. You want to explain why 102 is 102 and is higher than the 100. What is the difference? What is driving this difference? Is this relevant in the short term or also in the long term? Maybe the 102 next year will be 98, while the 100 will become 102. So you need to tell the story, how you got the numbers, what are the assumptions behind. And this is obviously very correlated with you understanding what is going on, how we get the numbers, and that you have these transportable skills. But this is really important and makes a difference. For those of you who had already job interviews, in job interviews, they ask you questions. And if you are able to tell the story, not just mention facts, if you are able to correlate the facts, to make links between the facts, you are able to draw a storyline between the numbers and what's going on and what can be done in the future to improve the profitability of the organization. This is very important, and this will make a difference in your future career. Very good. Now, I have here a few examples of job ads. So I took them yesterday from LinkedIn. You have the link, so later on you can click on the link to see what are the characteristics, what they are looking at when they look for a position in this area. So if you want to work in the area of management accounting, you will not see business ads with the title management accounting. Most often will be something along the lines of financial controller, business controller, just like that, or financial analyst. Okay, so these will be more or less the job titles that you will find for jobs related with management accounting. So, for instance, we see here for Lego, things like planning and reporting is what we're going to talk about today, about the productivity, standard price setting, so to calculate the price of products. For that, we need to know the cost of the products or services, supplier risk management. So you can exploit these later on if you are interested to. So now we will talk about the decision-making, planning and control process, which is also known as management accounting cycle. So management accounting cycle has 3 stages. We have the planning, the decision-making and the controlling, and these are related. So planning, we plan operations. Based on the plans, we make decisions, and after the decisions are made, we will control if things went according to plan or not. Okay, so this is missing an arrow here, but it will show on the slides that I will upload on Moodle. I have here on the right a more detailed management accounting cycle where we have the planning process, so more detailed, so we identify the objectives. We search for alternative courses of action. So we say, what do we want to do? We want to develop a new product. What kind of products can we develop? So which type of products are more in demand? Do we have the capabilities to produce? Then we choose an appropriate course of action. So it's the decision making on the left. And then we implement those decisions. After those decisions have been implemented, we will compare how the actual results compare with with what we planned in the beginning. And based on these, we will respond to any changes with any differences that we find. So if there's major differences, we might want to go back and search new alternative actions, or we might just want to implement new decisions, okay? And make sure that what happens will be according to what we expect. So here we have a few examples of the management accounting cycle. So you see it has 3 stages. It has planning, decision making, and controlling. So we have here planning, controlling, and decision making. And we have examples for different business areas. So for marketing, supply chain, and human resources. So for instance, in planning for marketing can be questions like how much should we budget for TV, print, and internet advertising? In terms of planning, how much should we budget? In terms of controlling, it can be, is the budgeted price cut increasing unit sales as expected? So they want to make an advertising. So based on these, or they want to, for here, they want to decrease the price, and based on this decreased price, is the sales growing? And when we look at decision making, should we sell our services as one bundle or sell them separately? So for instance, if companies produce several products, should they sell them together in a bundle or should they sell them separate? So this is related to marketing, but the information to answer to these questions is provided by management accounting, okay? But these are marketing decisions. When we look, for instance, at human resources, when you talk about planning, it can be how much should we plan to spend for occupational safety training? In terms of controlling, is our employee retention rate exceeding our goals? And for decision making, should we hire an on-site medical staff to lower our healthcare costs? So these are some questions that will be answered with information from management accounting, and they are different questions for the different three parts of the management accounting cycle. Okay, any questions? No? No questions? So if you don't have any questions, we will have the break now. So it's 2 minutes past 2. We will be back at 32 past 2 because we have half an hour break. Okay, so we will be back at 32 past 2 p.m. Okay, so I see you in a bit. Have a good lunch.
Sorry, Professor.
Yeah.
You can say.
Go ahead, Manuel.
Oh, okay, thank you. Can you say again which is the enrollment to the Moodle platform?
Yeah. Let me just go back. So the enrollment key is MA capitals _S capital spring 21. Other questions?
Can you repeat, please? Sorry.
The enrollment key is here on the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
But I can't see the key.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
You cannot see. I will type in the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat. It's MA in capital letters _ spring with a capital letter in S 21.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, good. So enjoy your lunch and see you in a bit.